Hiya and welcome to Tony's Titbits number 2, and this is about the Nikon F cameras, and basically just to go through some changes which you may not have realised with these cameras. There is a lot more changes than what I'm going to mention. There is a website, my friend Richard's website, which lists basically all of them, I would say, and I'll put the link in the description, which you can go to and have a look. And also you can, if you buy a Nikon F, you can chase up the serial number and see what year and roughly what month your one was actually made. So this is two Fs which at first sight, apart from obviously one being chrome and one being black, look very similar. Obviously they're both based on the same Nikon F camera, which was released in '59, but this one is the chrome one is a 1962 produced, and the black one is from 1973, and the black one also is a what you call an Apollo version, and they named it that not because of the Apollo missions. They changed a couple of things that made it similar to because the Nikon F2 was out at this time, and they put some of the little extra bits of that on it, which was some plastic on the self-timer and on the advance lever. So I'm going to go through some differences with these cameras which you can look out for when you're going to buy one, and also by knowing some of these things you can see if they've been modified from the original, so it's obviously very useful. So first of all, I've actually made notes myself because I can't remember all these off by hand, and as I say, this is not a comprehensive list of all the changes. These are some of the most obvious changes that you'll see. The first I'm going to mention is the advance lever. On the early model, it's actually got a different shape, which is hard to see on the Apollo one because it's got plastic on it, but the shape of it is different. And also they actually made the tip hollow on the early model, and I'm not sure what year that stopped being done actually, but this is a 62 model. It wasn't long after this that they stopped doing that, and I think that was down to cost because it was cheaper for them to make a solid one. And this one, so you can't tell anyway because it's got a plastic tip on, but it is a solid end on that one. Next obvious thing is the logo on top. On early model ones up till about, I'm not sure if it's 66, 67ish, they're on the top plate Nippon Kogaku rather than Nikon, which they did on the later ones. Next thing is no slot in the finder focusing screen removal. You can see on this later Apollo one there's a slot or a little groove there that is easy for you to get your finger or thumbnail in to release the finder or focusing screen. On this early 62 model that is not there, it's just a solid ring. Going to the base plate, this is made in Japan. On the earlier 62 model, the M has a slanting M at the sides, whereas on the later models the M has flat sides on the writing. Also looking at the bottom, the ASA dial. On this one, early model, it only goes up to 400 ASA, and also the actual numbers themselves are raised like this fancy little ring in the centre. The actual numbers are raised. I've got the proper wording for it, and I say it goes up to 400 ASA. On the later models, this one goes up to 1600 ASA, and also the numbers are like printed rather than raised up from the bottom. Next thing is on the early models, you take the back plate off and look at the back plate. there are, you can see that in this light, but there are patent numbers on the inside. I think you can just see that there now. Patent numbers, which were patents for these different parts on the camera. They stopped doing that on the later models. Other thing is, well, I've got the back off, the advanced sprocket. On this model there's only 2 slots in the advanced sprocket. On later models there is 4. I say, do bear in mind all these things I'm telling you, there's intermediate changes as well. They didn't just suddenly change from one to the other. Some things were gradually changed. I'm just showing you the difference between these 2 particular cameras. Now, also another thing that changed was they made improvements on the finders through the years, starting with a high level finder like this and going up to a photomic FTN finder, which was this one, which was the latest finder for the F. And because of that, they had to make a slight change to the body for the finder, because the first photomic finder, which is this what we call a flag version, is narrower. Well, I say it's narrower. It's got, if you look, again, difficult to see in this light, but it's narrow there, and then there's nothing else behind it underneath. Whereas on this FTN finder, you've got the same thickness there, but then you've got a step below that. I don't think the camera's focusing very well on that. A bit that sticks out, chunkier. So they had to change the actual finder box on the F to accommodate that. Now, unfortunately, this is something that has been changed on this one. I'll say unfortunately, it depends how you look at it. If you're looking at it as a collector or a user, because when I brought this camera, it did actually come with this FTN finder, and I was a bit dubious at first, because I thought, well, if somebody's made a bodge up of the finder box, it's not going to look very nice. But when I removed it, I'll show you that now actually. Take the prism off. They made a very neat job, because normally what you would see now is this metal surround on the finder box actually goes across on the early models, whereas on this one and the later models, this one actually been cut out, but the later ones are the same. Excuse me, where the metal plate has been removed to accommodate the later FTN finders. That's another change. Another thing is the self-timer lever. Another thing to look out for, the actually patterning changed on the self-timer lever, and again an obvious thing on this one is this one gained a plastic surround, which obviously makes it different as well. Excuse me. Another thing is the PC sync socket. You've got PC sync socket in the same place, but on the later version they made it so it was threaded on the outside, so you could put a cap on it, whereas the early version isn't. And the other thing is, a little thing is the colours on the shutter speed dial. I'm not sure if you can be able to see this. Well, the actual shutter speed dials, as you can see, have got numbers on, and the colours of the red and the green are different colours on the later version, actually slightly different colouring. Another thing which I mentioned on the high level prisms, which changed, just put this one back on, and that was the viewfinder itself. It's actually changed. It's more squarier and bigger on the later versions, as on this earlier model it's slightly rectangular and a bit more not so thick and broad. So there you go, let's look at the Nikon F, just going through some differences between earlier and later models. So I've not gone through them all, don't comment on that. I'm not trying to name everything, I've just tried to name a few, and hope you found it interesting. Thanks very much for watching.